We all love watching the adventures of Hannah Lee Duggan. Her story is quite fascinating. In this video, I'll tell you Hannah's early life, how a van got her into YouTube, and how she became a successful full-time YouTuber and settled in the woods. So, now let's start from the beginning. Hannah Lee Duggan was born on April 14, 1994 in Minnesota, U.S. and grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota. She has a biological sister, Molly, and adopted siblings, Luna and Mathis. Hannah's mother was a traveler. Hannah was an extroverted introvert and preferred keeping to herself and reading books, but later she fell in love with traveling, and upon receiving her driver's license, she started traveling and camping in her car, and also started hiking. As Hannah liked the freedom of car camping, she fell in love with it and at the time dreamt of living full-time in the car. After living in Oakland, Hannah moved to Los Angeles. Then, she traveled Europe where she lived in hostels for a while. This trip not only taught her to live frugally, but also gave her the much-needed confidence to later live in a cabin in the woods. Hannah traveled to Paris, Rome, Venice, and Zurich, and then enrolled to study at a university, and while studying there, she traveled to Hawaii, road trip from New York to Los Angeles, and traveled to Costa Rica, Colombia, Ireland, and London, and lived in Hong Kong, and also traveled to Corfu, Sri Lanka, Egypt, Turkey, and Ecuador. Hannah bought a used 2001 Ford Econoline E250 van for $2,400 on April 26, 2018 from Craigslist, and christened it Walter and built it with the help of her father and sister, and started living and camping in it. As Hannah was excited about her van and building it, she started sharing it on her YouTube channel, Hannah Lee Duggan, and this started her YouTube journey. Hannah published her first video, Van Tour, Finally Finished My Van, on August 14, 2018. She started filming with an iPhone 6 and editing with iMovie. Initially, while living in the van, Hannah used to earn by selling items through Depop, but when her channel picked up, she started earning from ads and sponsorships. Hannah used to also accept donations on PayPal. Later, she started selling merchandise through her company Lupin Lane Company. Hannah has been filming herself with an iPhone since the beginning and as no camera person. This brings her content the much-needed authenticity and personal connection. Also, she shares a variety of projects on her channel, which keeps her audience from getting bored. All these made her a successful YouTuber, and she became a full-time YouTuber in 2020. Currently, she has a whopping 1.06 million subscribers on her channel. Hannah also has a second YouTube channel, Hannah Lee, on which she has 40.7 thousand subscribers, but currently she isn't active on it. In September 2020, Hannah purchased 15 acres of land with a couple of rustic cabins and started living there. She did a lot of cabin projects. Hannah currently lives in her homestead in the woods thanks to her love for being alone, and the success of her YouTube channel allowed her to realize her dreams. In 2024, Hannah bought an apartment in New York City for a little diversity and doesn't intend to move to the city permanently. She filmed with an iPhone 6 and used iMovie until she had 25,000 subscribers, and then upgraded to an iPhone 7 and subsequent versions of iPhones, and started editing with Final Cut Pro on her MacBook. Hannah also has a GoPro, a drone, and a Samsung SSD. Now let's take a brief look at her education. After completing her schooling from St. Paul Conservatory for Performing Artists Art School in St. Paul, Minnesota, in 2014, Hannah joined University of Minnesota, where she studied English language and literature general. Hannah started working at 15 and did a lot of part-time odd jobs, and has been a hard worker. Hannah worked in the retail of Mandy, did catering and several Craigslist jobs, one of which involved working as a mascot in parades, baseball fields, and other events. During the summer, Hannah worked for her friend's father's company assembling computer cables and learned about electricity, wiring, and soldering. These greatly helped her when she later built her van. At 18, in 2012, after passing out from high school, Hannah started working as a stewardess in a cruise ship on the east coast of the U.S. She worked at this job for 3 months. Later, Hannah worked at a zoo catering and also did a job of weeding lakes, and while in university, she used to find volunteer jobs for research studies through bulletin boards. Once, while living in Oakland, as Hannah was broke, she donated her bone marrow for science, and at 19, she donated her eggs and worked with Northeast Assisted Fertility Group. Also, Hannah was a model at Agency Models and Talent in Minneapolis, and in 2017, she traveled to Hong Kong on a modeling contract. She also did background acting in Grey's Anatomy. Hannah has always been busy with her projects, And even before she started on YouTube, when she was doing full-time jobs, she used to delve into projects getting home. Thanks to becoming a full-time YouTuber, Hannah has more time on her hands to dedicate to her projects. Her future plan is to work full-time on her company, Lupin Lane. Hannah is 5 feet 9 inches in Aries and has been diagnosed with ADHD. Now, enjoy a few tidbits about her. Hannah loves Ethiopian food, and her favorite dishes are spaghetti, wonton, and falafel wraps. She grew up with dogs and is a dog person, but raises mice. Hannah loves the spring season and winter traveling adventures. She loves the red and white wine in Cab, Marrow, and Sarah wines. Hannah grew up reading Bloody Jack, and this has been her all-time favorite novel series. So, how are you inspired by Hannah Lee Duggan's story? Please comment below. If you are into reading, I've also written her story on my website. Find a link in this video's description. For more success stories of your favorite YouTubers, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.